Hi there, friends. Welcome back to Little Lab at Home with the Museum of Life and Science. My name is Peregrine, and Catalyst volunteer Caroline is going to be moderating our chat today. I hope that all of you will help lead our program with your thoughts and questions and ideas in the moderated chat box so that you can be a huge part of this program. That's always my favorite part, is hearing from all of you. So today's topic is rocks. We're going to be talking about rocks, and I was going to ask all of you if you could tell me, what is a rock? What is a rock, or what makes something a rock? You can tell us in the chat. What is a rock? Or can we think of a type of rock? Can we describe what a rock is like? We're going to define a rock as something that is inorganic, meaning it's not alive, like a plant or an animal, and it's never been alive. It's not like it's a dead leaf, right? Dead leaf used to be alive. So it's never been alive, and it's made out of one or more minerals. We know that rocks have different names. If you know the names of any rocks, you're welcome to put them in the chat. But I know a few I thought I might just show you before we get started with today's experiment. I know that this rock that I have is called obsidian. I know this rock is called quartz. I know this one is called fluorite. And I know that this one's called mica. Those are a few of the rocks I have with me today. I have a few other ones, and I'll be honest with you, friends, I'll show you what they look like. I'm not totally sure what the name of all of these rocks are. I'm not totally sure what type they are, and it's something where I could look up their name based on their characteristics, but I can also observe things about them to help put them in categories. That will help me identify rocks. So if we are identifying something, we're looking at it, we're observing its characteristics. What's one characteristic of a rock? What's one thing you could notice about rocks? For instance, is there something that makes all these rocks different? Ooh, I have a friend in the chat saying that rocks are often hard. Yes, and we're going to be talking about hardness today. That's going to be a big thing that we will identify. Yes, that's going to be a huge part of today's experiment. We could talk about how hard they are. I've definitely seen rocks that are more crumbly than others. Some rocks are more dull, some are more sharp. I know with all of these, they've got such different colors. So color is one thing we could look at. How about shininess? How shiny a rock is. Cam, I'll jump to experiment cam, and we'll talk about what we need for this experiment. Then we'll get started talking about rocks and their shine. All right, here we are on experiment cam. What you'll need for this experiment is you'll need a couple of rocks. Now, I have two of my rocks came from North Carolina. They came from my backyard area, we'll say. I have some quartz and some of that mica. I also have a little bit of a rock collection, so I grabbed some other ones. But really, any rock that you can find would work. You can use all of the rocks that you find in these experiments. So you need a couple different rocks that look pretty different from each other. They need to be fairly clean. They don't have to be squeaky clean, but hopefully not covered in dirt. And we need a few other things. We're going to need some water. We're also going to need a penny. And I'll give you a hint here. The less shiny a penny you have, the better. So a penny that's kind of dull will help you. It'll work with a shiny penny too, but it will help us see it if it is a nice dull penny like that. The other thing you'll need is a push pin. So this is just a little thumbtack. We want to be super careful and make sure our adults are around when we're using it, because it can be pointy. And then the last thing that we can use is a glass jar. Now this is an old glass jar. It came from some yogurt. It's not something that I'm going to keep. I wouldn't recommend using a glass that you like to keep and drink out of because we are going to be testing it in such a way today that will change the way that it looks. So if you have any old glass bottle or old pasta sauce jar, that would be perfect for this experiment. Okay, so we've got all of these different things here. I wanted to start talking about the shininess of rocks, or the luster. And I'm going to ask Caroline to put that in the chat. The luster of a rock is one way we can identify it. I'm going to hold up two different rocks. And I want you to tell me which one you think is shinier. The one that's dark or the one that's lighter? What do you think? I have one guess, the black one here. Yeah, this dark colored one. What do you think, friends? I think I would agree with you. I think that this obsidian here is so smooth and shiny. I think it's very, very shiny. So we would say it has a higher luster than this one, than this quartz, at least in this state. The thing about shininess is sometimes, or luster, is sometimes it can change depending on whether or not the rock is wet. So if I were looking at these two rocks, which one would you say has more luster? What do you think? The multicolored one or the black one? Yeah, I'd agree with you again. I think the black one, again, looks shinier. But we're going to do something to our piece of fluorite here that will change the way that it looks. So I don't know if you're doing the experiment along with us. If you are, I want you to grab one of your rocks and we're going to put a little bit of water on it. So I'm just going to dip my finger in some water here and we're going to observe how it might change. All right, ready? Here we go. What do you think, friends? Did that change at all when I put the water on it? I can show you the dry side again. Looks like that. And now the wet side, you can see that it is quite shiny and smooth. And look how deep those colors are. When I put water on my fluorite, it really changed the way that it looks. That's why whenever we're looking at the luster of a rock, we need to make sure that it's dry, because we might be misled. We might be tricked if the rock is wet and looks shinier than it really is in its dry state. Shine is one thing that we can look at with our rocks, and something else that we can look at is something my friend mentioned earlier. We can look at how hard our rocks are. So I've got a bunch of rocks here, and I want to test their hardness. And I'm trying to think about how we test hardness. I mean, am I just going to bash them against each other and see which one wins? Should I drop them from the window and see which one of them breaks? I don't know if I want to do all of that. I can use a special scale called the Mohs hardness scale. And I'll ask Caroline to put that in the chat. The Mohs hardness scale is basically a score from 1 to 10 that identifies how hard or soft a rock is. So a 1 is a super soft rock, and a 10 would be a super hard rock. So the number 1, I think, is talc. Talc is a very soft rock. That's a number 1 on the Mohs hardness scale, whereas a diamond is a number 10. It is the hardest mineral. So if we're taking a look at ours, what we're going to do is we're going to test and find its place on the Mohs hardness scale. So we're going to reference their hardness and compare it to some other items that we have. So we want to take out our penny and our push pin and our glass. What we're going to do is we're going to test the hardness of these against the hardness of our rocks. If we are going to test, say, our fingernail against a rock, right? Our fingernail has a Mohs hardness of around 2.5. So it's fairly soft, right? If I can scratch a rock and it comes off with just my fingernail, I know that it has a hardness of less than 2.5. I can also use my penny as a way to see the hardness of a rock. If I scrape a rock against my penny and it makes a mark, then it has a Mohs hardness that's greater than 3. I can also use my push pin and my glass in a similar way, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. I think I want to get testing. So let's try our first test. I'm going to try with my fingernail, right? So my fingernail is about a 2.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. And I'm going to start trying to see if I can leave a scratch on my rock. What do we think? Did that leave a scratch? No, not quite. Looks like this rock is harder than my nail. So it's harder than a 2.5. I'm going to try here. Oh, this is a little bit of pyrite. I'm going to try scratching it with my nail. And again, it doesn't look like I could scratch it with my nail. Let me try the obsidian. Oh, this one's so much smoother than all the rest of them. Doesn't really look like I'm scratching it either. All right, one last one. I'll try the mica. Not really the mica either. So all of these are harder than a 2.5. That means we've got to use the next tool in our kit here. We're going to use our penny. Now before I was using my nails to scratch the rocks. Instead of using my penny to scratch my rock, I'm going to use my rock to scratch my penny. So I've got my penny here, and what I'm going to do is I'll start with my pyrite here. I'm going to take it and hold it kind of like a pencil or a crayon, and I'm going to try and scratch my penny using the rock. All right, so I'm going to try and scratch it here, and you all can tell me if you notice a difference. What do you think, friends? I definitely notice a big scratch there that was not there before. What happened is my rock, which was harder than my penny, scratched off the patina of my penny. So it scratched off the kind of dull colored stuff to show the shiny copper underneath. That tells me that this rock must be harder than a 3 on the Mohs hardness scale. All right, I'm going to try another one. I'll try my quartz. So again, I'm going to take it and kind of hold it like a crayon or something. And I'm going to use this point and try and scratch my penny. I'll try the other side. Whoa. I think I can see already. What do you think, my friends? I think that this quartz is also harder than my penny. All right, let's try my other one. I'll try my obsidian. And I'll do this here at the bottom. If any of you are trying this at home, I'd love to hear about some of your results. Looks like, oh yeah, that one did also scratch against it. Yeah, I'd love to hear, are you able to make any scratches on your penny if you're doing this at home with us? I definitely was able to scratch with 3 out of my 4. I'm going to try one more. I'm going to try my mica. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and try to scratch her along the middle of the penny. Well, wait a minute, my friends. What do you think? I don't feel like I see a brand new scratch on my penny. Let me try it again. Okay, maybe I've got a little bit of a scratch. But what this tells me, right, because it was nowhere near as much of a scratch here, is that my mica is softer than my penny. And this is true of mica. Mica is a little bit of a softer rock. If you've ever seen it, it's kind of easy to crumble it in your fingers. Oh, we have one friend who's saying that, oh, that all of your rocks are able to scratch your penny. That is so interesting. All right, what I think is I want to test our last two methods for hardness. So we saw that all of them except for the mica could scratch the penny. I want to see if any of these are going to be able to scratch our glass. Now again, we're not going to use our glass to scratch our rock. We're going to kind of try to carefully scratch our glass using our rock. So I'm going to start with this one. Same as the other one, I want to super carefully press down pretty hard, not super hard. I see a bit of a scratch on there. I think that my quartz is harder than glass. Glass is about a 5 on the hardness scale. All right, I'll try my pyrite here. And I think I'm able to see a pretty good scratch with my pyrite too. This is my quartz. Here's my pyrite. I don't know. I don't know if it was as sharp as my quartz. Maybe it is slightly less hard. I'm not totally sure. If I try with my obsidian, when I try with my obsidian, I'm not able to make a very good scratch. Let me try again. So I'll show it to you again. We have my first two there. And then my third one, it doesn't seem to want to scratch it. That might tell me that my obsidian is around a hardness of 5 or perhaps a little bit less than a 5 because I can't quite scratch my glass. That's so interesting. All right, now we know that our mica won't, right? Because it wasn't able to scratch the penny. Nope, no mark. But our quartz and our pyrite are still in the running. Now, our very, very last one is testing the push pin. We want to be super careful with these. The hardness depends on what it's made of. If it's a stainless steel, then it could be anywhere from like a 6 or a 7. But if it's made out of something like tin, it's going to be closer to maybe a 4. So this is just an extra test to see, just to see if it's any different than your glass. So I'm going to take it and try and scratch my quartz here. Nope, I'm not seeing any scratches on my quartz, not at all. I think my quartz is very hard. Let's see about my obsidian. It looks like I can scratch a tiny bit into my obsidian, but then if I brush it away, it's hard to see. So I'm not totally sure about the obsidian. If I try it on the pyrite, whoa, it's really hard for me to scratch my pyrite. And I don't see it creating any scratch there. Wow, that tells me that these two at least are harder than my push pin. Of course, I know that this is pretty soft. And if I use my push pin, I can definitely scratch it. I can even kind of get little sparkles of mica off on my thumb like that. Ooh, we have a friend who was saying that they have 2 of their rocks that scratch the glass. That is so interesting. The ones that don't scratch the glass but do scratch the penny are between a 3 and a 5. And the 2 that scratch the glass must be over a 5. That is so interesting. There's so many different kinds of rocks out there made of so many different kinds of things. Even if we don't know the names of all of them, we can use our senses to observe different things about them. And we can test them using the scientific method to see what characteristics they have, like how hard or soft they are. I was just going to show you one more thing. When we were talking about rock shininess and rock luster, I always love to use my my Dynascope here. So I was going to show you my microcam so that I could show you here's what my fluorite looks like without any water. And then if I add water, it's cool how that changes it, right? It kind of changes that color. I just think that's really interesting. Very beautiful to see up close. All right, I'll show you just one more in the time that we have left. I have a beautiful crystal geode. next to me here that I'll show you on face cam in just a minute. It's a good example of a very shiny rock, although it has little bits and pieces in it. This is one of my favorite things about being able to look at rocks, is finding the ones that are so beautiful, that have such beautiful crystalline structures like this. Almost looks like a beautiful cave. All right, I'll go ahead and switch us back to face cam here. Here's the geo that I was looking at earlier. So we've taken a look at the shininess of rocks, how their shininess might change, their luster might change if it's affected with water. We've also looked at hardness. You've got a few things to use to test your rock's hardness. I think that I am going to go out and find some more rocks to test in my backyard. I hope that you will do the same. Thank you all so much for being here today and talking about rocks with me. I love talking about rocks. So this was a really fun one for me. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I hope that we'll see you for Lab at Home next week. All right, I'll see you later, friends.